Welcome to the Bad Nurse Files. Tonight, we're going to dive deep into a web that connects our friend Bobby, the Trump administration, Palantir Technologies, disease surveillance, and the future of AI-driven biosecurity. Now, if you've been following along, you know I don't like to fearmonger. I like connecting dots with receipts. So let's break this one down. So our friend Bobby recently made an interesting slip. He started talking about biosecurity and biosurveillance in a way that sounded a lot like an establishment he claims to be fighting. But it's subtle, but it's there, referencing to pandemic preparedness, centralized monitoring systems, and public health defense. And here's the catch. There are already patents filed for biothreat surveillance tools, systems that integrate genomic sequencing, wastewater data, even AI monitoring of hospital records. This isn't hypothetical, it's already happening. So when RFK leans into biosecurity like language, it makes me wonder, like, is he truly backing away from the system, or is he like slowly bending towards it? And I've looked up and there is no system yet that he's referencing to that exists yet. There are talks about it happening, but it's not in there. I haven't found any patents pertaining to that specifically. So let's zoom in for a second, right? Earlier this year, researchers in Maryland used AI to back check medical records and found that missed cases of bird flu may have slipped through the cracks. Think about that, okay? AI wasn't just helping doctors, it was essentially re-diagnosing patients after the fact. So they went through all of these histories and they found out of the 70 people, 14 were missed. They either were around cattle or butchers, or they lived like a raw lifestyle and that was missed, but AI found it. This backtracked to 2024. Now imagine that on a nationwide scale. AI combining every lab result, every ER admission, and every genetic sequence. So that sounds a lot like biosurveillance, the future that RFK hinted at. So now enter Palantir. So if we're talking biosurveillance, we have to talk about Palantir Technologies. This is Peter Thiel's brainchild with Alex Karp as CEO. Palantir is the quiet backbone of U.S. surveillance infrastructure. During the Trump years, Palantir just wasn't working with military. They were running ICE systems, helping track visa overstays and deportation. One platform alone, called Immigration OS, had a $30 million contract. And they weren't stopping there. The Army handed them a $10 billion enterprise contract just this summer. But here's the kicker. Palantir also powers public health systems. The CDC Decipher program relies on Palantir to track outbreaks like Ebola, anthrax, COVID. HHS also used Palantir in the Tiberius platform, or the Tiberius platform, to track vaccine distribution nationwide. The NIH awarded them millions to integrate biomedical research data as well. Put simply, Palantir is both in the immigration police database and the public health outbreak database. One company, two of the most powerful surveillance tools you could imagine. Now, has Trump himself invested in Palantir? No, that's a common misconception. But under his administration, though, billions in contracts flowed to Palantir. DHS, ICE, the Army, even HHS. And we can't forget, Peter Thiel was a Trump advisor. Stephen Miller, the architect of immigration crackdowns, even held stock in Palantir. Conflict of interest? Maybe, you tell me. So while the public was distracted by Twitter wars and COVID chaos, Palantir was quietly embedded itself deeper into every federal agency that touches your life. So now let's connect the dots. You know, I love connecting dots. RFK talks about biosecurity like it's the future, even though it sounded like it was already happening. according to his verbiage and how he was saying it. Maryland researchers already used AI to find hidden bird flu cases. Palantir runs the backbone of outbreak response, military contracts, and immigration surveillance. And the Trump administration, with Peter Thiel whispering in the background, supercharge Palantir's reach. Now, here's my suspicion, right? We're moving towards a system where AI isn't just a tool, it's the gatekeeper. It decides what's a bio threat. It flags which patients' records to pull, and it tells the government when to act. And if RFK, the so-called outsider, is embracing the same language of biosecurity, then maybe he's not as outside the system as people think. Because here's the ugly truth. Once AI is in charge of biosurveillance, human judgment gets replaced. Doctors, nurses, even elected officials become middlemen. And the decisions, they're made by algorithms we don't control, running on platforms owned by companies like Palantir. So ask yourself, are we preparing for a pandemic, or are we quietly building an AI-controlled health surveillance state? This has been the Band Nurse Files. Stay sharp, stay questioning, and as always, don't take their word for it.